My name is Alex, and for the last 2 years, I've worked as senior project coordinator under Zara Khan, the youngest executive director in the company's history. At 32, she's sharp, ruthless in boardrooms, and, let's be honest, devastatingly attractive. Long dark hair always in a sleek ponytail, tailored blazers that hug her figure just right, and those piercing hazel eyes that could freeze you mid-sentence or melt you if she chose to smile. Everyone calls her the Ice Queen behind her back. I call her Zara when we're alone in her corner office after hours, which happens more often than it should. We never crossed that line. Not officially. There were late-night strategy sessions that stretched into 2 a.m., her heels kicked off under the desk, my tie loosened, coffee turning cold while we debated slide decks. She'd lean over my shoulder to point at the screen, her perfume, something expensive and spicy, lingering like a dare. Once, her fingers brushed mine while reaching for a pen, and neither of us pulled away for a full 3 seconds. But we always stopped short. Professionalism. Boundaries. The company handbook that explicitly forbids fraternization. I told myself I was fine with that. Until last Friday. I'd matched with Maya on a dating app, cute, funny, a graphic designer who loved hiking and bad horror movies. We set a date for Saturday night at that rooftop bar downtown. I was excited. Normal excited. The kind where you actually look forward to something outside of spreadsheets and quarterly reports. Monday morning, I walked into Zara's office with the weekly status update. She was already at her desk, scrolling through emails, looking unfairly flawless in a navy dress that ended just above the knee. "Morning," I said, setting the folder down. She glanced up, eyes flicking over me like she was cataloging changes. "You look rested." I laughed. "I actually slept more than 4 hours for once." "Good for you." Her tone was neutral, but there was something off. Sharper. I sat across from her. We ran through the numbers, client retention up 8%, new pitch deck ready for Wednesday. Routine. Then, because the silence felt heavier than usual, I added casually, "Oh, and I finally have a date this weekend. First one in months." Zara's pen stopped moving. She didn't look up right away. When she did, her expression was carefully blank. "A date?" "Yeah. Nothing serious. Just drinks." She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. The movement pulled the fabric of her dress tighter across her chest. I tried not to notice. "With who?" she asked. "Someone from an app." "Maya. She's nice." "Nice." Zara repeated the word like it tasted sour. "How nice?" I shrugged, suddenly feeling like I'd walked into a trap. "Normal nice. We talked about movies, travel. She's easy to talk to." Zara's lips pressed into a thin line. Easy. The word hung there. I waited for her to pivot back to work, but she didn't. "So you're going out with someone easy," she said slowly, "while you've spent the last 2 years staying late with me, pretending the tension doesn't exist." My mouth went dry. "Zara. Don't Zara to me." She stood up, walked around the desk, and perched on the edge right in front of me. Her knee brushed mine. "You've never once asked me out." "Not once. But some random woman messages you and suddenly you're Mr. Available?" I stared up at her. "You're my boss." "And?" Her voice dropped. "You think that stops me from noticing how you look at me? How you linger when everyone else leaves? How you always find an excuse to touch my hand when passing files?" Heat crawled up my neck. I thought, we were both being professional. "Professional," she echoed, almost laughing. But it wasn't funny. It was bitter. "I turned down 3 dates last month because I kept thinking maybe this week you'd finally say something. Instead, you tell me you're going out with someone else." I swallowed. "I didn't know you." You didn't ask. She leaned down, palms flat on the arms of my chair, caging me in. Her face was inches from mine. Do you have any idea how infuriating that is? To watch you smile at your phone, knowing it's not me on the other end? My heart hammered so loud I was sure she could hear it. Zara, Shut up. Her voice cracked, just a little. I don't want excuses. I want to know if you're actually interested in this, Maya, or if you're just running because you're scared of what happens if you stop pretending. I searched her eyes. The ice was gone. What was left was fire, raw, unguarded, and terrifying. I'm not scared, I lied. Then, quieter, okay. Maybe I am. But not of you. Of losing this job. Of messing everything up. She straightened slightly, but didn't move away. And if I told you the job doesn't matter as much as you think? I exhaled. Then I'd say, what are we doing, Zara? She studied me for a long moment. Then, in a voice so soft it almost broke me, you're not going on that date. It wasn't a question. I raised an eyebrow. Jealous much? Her laugh was low, dangerous. Extremely. Before I could respond, she closed the distance. Her lips crashed into mine, hard, desperate, like she'd been holding it back for years. I froze for half a second, then my hands found her waist, pulling her closer. She tasted like coffee and mint and everything I'd been denying myself. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against mine. Cancel it, she whispered. I already did, I admitted. Saturday morning. Felt wrong. She pulled back just enough to look at me. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought you'd laugh. Or worse, shut me down. Zara shook her head. I've spent months imagining this exact moment, you idiot. And in none of them were you telling me about another woman. I grinned despite myself. Sorry for ruining your fantasy. Don't be. Her fingers traced my jaw. This one's better. She kissed me again, slower this time, savoring. When she pulled away, her eyes sparkled with something wicked. Lock the door, she said. I did. The rest of the morning blurred into stolen touches, whispered confessions, and the kind of heat that makes you forget what floor you're on. By the time we finally came up for air, her lipstick was smudged, my shirt untucked, and the status update folder lay forgotten on the floor. She fixed her hair in the reflection of her monitor, then turned to me with that signature smirk. This doesn't change anything at work. We stay professional in front of everyone else. Right, I said, still dazed. Professional. But after hours. She stepped close again, voice dropping to a husky whisper. You're mine. No more dates. No more apps. No more pretending. I nodded, throat tight. Yours. She kissed me once more, soft, possessive, then stepped back. Now get out of my office before I decide to cancel all my meetings for the day. I left grinning like an idiot. That night, I deleted the dating app. No second thoughts. And when Zara texted me at 10 p.m., my place. Bring coffee. I didn't hesitate. Some lines are worth crossing. Especially when the woman on the other side has been waiting just as long as you have.